Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're focusing our explainer on a profoundly common, but honestly, rarely understood dynamic in relationships. We're talking about anxiety, and specifically that endless, exhausting loop of seeking certainty. You know, that text you send just to make sure they aren't mad at you, or asking, hey, are we okay, for like the third time in a week? We're going to carefully unpack our source material today, which introduces a brilliant framework for understanding why our attempts to feel secure sometimes, well, often, end up making us feel even more anxious. It all boils down to this fascinating biological phenomenon called the reassurance hangover. So let's get right in and see exactly how this nervous system trap works. So why does the relief of reassurance never last? I mean, it's something so many of us have experienced firsthand, right? You feel this sudden spike of doubt in your relationship. Your chest tightens up, your mind starts racing, and so you ask your partner for confirmation. Maybe it's a quick text, maybe a verbal, I love you, and they give it to you. For a fleeting second, everything feels perfect. The world makes sense again, and you can finally exhale. But then, almost like clockwork, that doubt slowly creeps right back in. The relief completely evaporates. Have you ever stopped to wonder why that comforting answer you literally just received suddenly isn't enough anymore? Well, our source material gives this incredibly frustrating experience a perfect name. It is called the reassurance hangover. Basically, it's the experience where reassurance calms the body incredibly fast, but doubt inevitably returns minutes or hours later. I absolutely love this term because it hits the nail on the head regarding the biological reality of the situation. Just like an actual chemical hangover, the immediate intake gives you exactly what you thought you needed in the moment. It hits the spot perfectly. But the after effect? Man, it leaves you depleted, doubting, and ultimately right back where you started, if not feeling a little bit worse than before.
Let's move on and see how this builds in real time. At minute 0, you get the reassurance. Your nervous system takes a deep breath, the physical tension just completely drops from your shoulders. But watch what happens next. Just minutes later, that calm fails to stick. A tiny, nagging what if starts to form in the back of your mind. You know, what if they just said that to make me happy? Or what if I completely misread their tone? And then, hours later, the full weight of the doubt returns, and the entire search for certainty restarts from scratch. You are literally back at square one, urgently looking for that next piece of proof.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the exact scientific mechanism behind why this timeline happens. It's truly fascinating. The source text puts it incredibly clearly. Reassurance lowers anxiety without changing the threat model underneath it. Think about the sheer mechanics of that sentence for a second. When you get reassurance, you're really only treating a surface-level symptom, the immediate temporary spike in your anxiety and your heart rate. But your brain's underlying alarm system, its internal threat model that decides what is and isn't dangerous, well, that hasn't been reprogrammed or updated at all. The alarm is still primed, just waiting to go off again at the slightest provocation. Let's break down exactly how this threat model operates, because your nervous system isn't trying to self-sabotage here. It is desperately trying to keep you safe based on basic cause and effect. The brain connects the dots like this. I checked, I asked, I got proof, therefore I survived. It creates this direct, undeniable link between the act of seeking reassurance and your literal survival. Your brain genuinely believes that the act of checking is the only reason you made it through that moment of panic. It's essentially patting itself on the back for keeping you alive, cementing that habit deep, deep into your biology. And this survival logic creates a massive, frustrating paradox. Reassurance in the short term is highly useful for immediate calm. It absolutely works in the moment to settle your nerves. But just like caffeine, or honestly, just like opening the fridge over and over again, expecting new food to magically appear, reassurance in the long term becomes highly addictive. Because your brain firmly believes it needs that external proof to survive the day, you start needing more of it, and you need it more frequently just to reach a normal, functioning baseline. You literally build a tolerance to the very thing you use to calm down. And that addiction drops you straight into this rapid, escalating loop. Step 1, you ask your partner to feel close. Step 2, you feel better, but only briefly. Step 3, the anxiety returns. And now you feel deeply ashamed for needing to ask all over again. You ask, you get brief relief. The relief fades. You feel guilty for being anxious. The panic over that guilt makes you ask again. It's a painful, dizzying loop that spins faster and faster, leaving both you and your relationship completely exhausted. And this brilliantly illustrates a fundamental, society-wide misunderstanding we have about relationship anxiety. The prevailing myth is that neediness is a personality flaw, that it's some sort of weakness, a character defect, or a sign that you just aren't secure enough as a person. But the reality, drawn straight from the science in our source material, is that it is simply a learning pattern in the nervous system. You aren't broken. Your body just learned a very specific, highly conditioned response to try and make you feel safe. It is biology, pure and simple, not a failure of your character. So, knowing that this is a conditioned nervous system pattern, how do we actually heal from it? Well, the source text tells us that recovery means building tolerance for incomplete certainty. It's about gently teaching your body that it is entirely okay not to know absolutely everything right this exact second, which, let's be honest, is incredibly hard to do, but it is so worth it. It's about learning to sit with that slight, nagging discomfort of the unknown, breathing through it, and realizing that even without immediate proof of your partner's love right in this very second, you are still physically safe. So, the crucial point is understanding what this recovery actually looks like in practice. Recovery is building that tolerance for incomplete certainty over time. But just as importantly, recovery is not forcing yourself never to ask. Just white-knuckling through your panic and violently suppressing your urge to text your partner, well, that doesn't change the underlying threat model either. Actually, scratch that, it just creates a completely different kind of pressure cooker of stress. True healing is about gradually, safely expanding your internal capacity to handle ambiguity without instantly going into red alert mode. And when you patiently do this work, something absolutely incredible happens. As the source material concludes, when the brain learns that ambiguity is survivable, reassurance stops being the only bridge back to calm. You effectively rewire the whole system from the ground up. By proving to your nervous system that you can survive the unknown, that the world doesn't spontaneously combust when you don't have immediate proof, you permanently change the threat model. You finally break that addiction to certainty, freeing up all that mental energy for actual, genuine connection. Which brings us to a really powerful place to end our explainer today. I want you to really let this question sink in. Seriously, think about it. If ambiguity is genuinely survivable, does reassurance still need to be your only bridge back to calm? What other bridges could you build to find your own security? I'll leave you to think about that as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining me to break down these concepts. And as always, keep exploring those brilliant minds of yours.